This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
Jumbo Jumbo and hello everybody. A very warm welcome to our afternoon drive. We are in the Masai Mara of Kenya with that beautiful scenery of the savannah and some elephants for you. Welcome aboard to your very own safari, live from the African bush. One more time, a very warm welcome to our safari, and currently we are in the Masai Mara Game Reserve of Kenya, and my name is David, and on camera with me this afternoon is Bungei. Bungei, how are you, sir? And we're very excited to have all of you on board. This is a great start for the afternoon drive. And remember, we are coming to you live, and we like to be engaged with questions and comments because you'll be able possibly to answer you in real time. And you can tweet to us using hashtag WorldEarth. A rather warm afternoon, 28 degrees Celsius here in the Masai Mara, or 83 degrees Fahrenheit. Look at that baby elephant. It's having an afternoon, early dinner, I would say. And very good to start with a herd of elephants on this safari. And you can tell a sign of rain here because these elephants look like they've got a bit of mud on their body. And my big plans today is to try and get as many elephants as I can and possibly get a cat. I'm just thinking today to get a leopard for all of you.
Oh, David, those sound like my plans exactly. I'm down here in Tswalu Game Reserve, and as you can see, it is quite overcast. It is rainy. It is cold. And I think that elephants would like it, given the amount of heat that their big bodies can produce. A bit of cool is always welcome. There we go. Hi everyone, it's me, Cold Trishala, and BK on camera this afternoon in Tswalu Game Reserve. It's about 14 degrees Celsius, 58 degrees of Fahrenheit, and only 1 degree warmer than it was this morning. And this is, wouldn't say upsetting me, but being a Durban girl, it is definitely cooling me down. Now, like David up in the Mara, I think I'd love to see some elephants, like I said to you, but a leopard, that would be a lovely cherry on top. Now, it's been like this for the last 2 days. Cold front moving in. Tomorrow should be the same. And then it'll start to warm up to the type of low-felt weather that we're used to. But this means rain, and rain is always good for the environment up here. It's been dry. And I'm sure we'll see many more signs of spring's arrival.
That's true, Trishul. Rain is very good for environment. I'm also not far from where she is, but now here with these beautiful impalas sticking around, looking at us. Hi everyone, my name's Andrew. Behind the camera, that's Theo. Looking at the beautiful impalas just at the Kim Drive, and you could see that they cold, very fluffy coat, but they need to feed. So when we get here, because the wind was picking up a lot, so they were all grouping up. But again, they can't do that forever, even though it's cold. They need to get up and feed. So for them now, as we see, they putting all their neck down. Cool, Maruth, when I know that how far the impala can get, also they're very soft. They're not soft. They are solid bone. But, they don't get too much like kudu, and they only grow a couple of, inch, and then just kind of a one twist, and then very sharp tall. So that's the end of them. So of course, it's a solid bone, so it doesn't really grow back once it's broken. So, since it's very cold, we will probably leave this impala, continue again with our journey, look around for more animals, see if we find anything around here in this drizzling, colder day.
Well, a very good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Masai Mara. I am Isaac, and on camera I have Big James ready at the river to show you what's happening. There has been a lot this afternoon, but not crossing yet. We have a few, zebra assembled across the other side, all thinking to cross. They seem to be doing the same old thing, discussing, wagging their tails.
and probably trying to find out who's going to be the leader. There is one that's drinking. I don't know if you see it. He's a really youngster there. It's nice to see one getting a drink because he doesn't know if it's going to get another drink, because this might be either the end where they separate. They don't see each other because sometimes one get left or not all of them decide to cross. Remember to talk to me on #WildEarth this afternoon. Comments and questions are very, very welcome. I am in Masai Mara, the Mara Triangle by the Mara River. This river today is full of crocodiles. I have been counting more than 25, all of them hidden in these waters. Some of them so big you cannot believe it. Yes, they are so big. Stone, I doubt if it's ever been blue. It has never been blue. It's always been brown. Oh, look at this. Well done, James. This looks to be one mighty big crocodile with a toppy. I don't know when it's killed it, but looks to be, taking a break before eating it. Can you believe that only its weight, it's not holding it, but its weight, head weight is holding the toppy not to float downstream. He must be one big monster crocodile. Yeah, I can tell he's been through a lot. On top of his nose, he's got he's healing from a battle or so. You can see that. Yes, looks like he got bitten while they were feeding on a feeding frenzy. Yeah, back at the river there is nothing much happening. It's just about the zebras just milling around. I'm gonna stick around here and find out if they're going to cross or not.
Well, we were talking about the weather, and here's a really nice indication. Sometimes you don't notice it, but here we have a marula tree, and you can see exactly where the rain is coming from. Can you see that one half is very, very wet? And that's because the rain is coming from the south, and the marula tree is showing us really nicely where it's coming from. Here you see the wonderful knob thorns. Well, hopefully the bush will have something to offer in this weather. I can hear a Cokie Franklin. That's quite nice. At least there's some bushy sounds, right? Apart from that, let's just listen for a moment. Spurfowl, Franklin, but otherwise pretty silent apart from the wind. Well, there's always a calm before the storm, and hopefully there'll be a sighting storm soon. That's what I'm hoping for. All right, let's move on. See what's out and about. I will tell you that I saw a leopard tortoise. Not yesterday. Day before. Day before I saw a leopard tortoise. Quite a large one too. And that was quite exciting. BK and I saw it walking in the road on that day that it was very hot, and I thought, oh no, did you come out too early and you were waiting for the rain and then you smelt it in the air, and then unfortunately little buddy went into the drainage to find himself a little bit of serenity and solitude as the heat just beat down on him. And he moved pretty fast, let me tell you. Hello, Dove. Really? Did I hear something about a leopard tortoise? A leopard tortoise hunting something or the other? Oh, there goes the dove. Ah, maybe we'll get a live hunt. Who knows? I'm gonna go look for that leopard tortoise.
Well, Trish, good luck and keep us posted on how things go there. Now, I stopped here because I saw this one huge eland, but mainly not for the big antelope, but for all those birds that you see on both of them, and more so on the one on the left. They look like flowers on the back of that eland, and those are what we call oxpeckers. Now, look carefully at those oxpeckers. One is just under the tail, around the genitalia area. And basically what they do, they have a relationship similar to what we call a symbiotic relationship, and they get the parasites out of these antelopes. Any mites that could be on their bodies, or ticks, that's exactly what they do. So here is always a benefit for both of them, is a win-win. And this is one, I would say, the largest antelope that we got in Africa. Very sharp horns, long horns. Both males and females got the horns. Look below the neck, they have a huge muscle that's called dewlap. Now, this muscle, we think it helps them to thermoregulate and to keep the temperatures constant. Kathy, how are you? And always a joy to hear your name. And you're saying this is your favorite antelope. Many thanks, Kathy. And I'll tell you, way back when I was a very small boy and we used to eat game meat in the village, this was my favorite meat. I do not eat it anymore. I eat it using the camera with the bunge here. I was talking about the dewlap below their necks. Kathy, you can see, and I'm sure you know, the males have much bigger dewlaps than the females. Now look at him carefully and note he's eating the little green leaves there of that bush. It's an indication that as much as these antelopes will eat grass, more often than not, they browse more than eating grasses. Rosalind, that's a good question. You're talking about calls of these antelopes. You'll be surprised if I tell you I have not had, these antelopes calling. But I can tell you for a fact they do call, but it is very, very rare. The only one time we hear them very loud is when they're in some sort of duress, when predators are just pinning them down or when they're getting hunted. But I can tell you we could be here, Rosalind, for the next 1 hour, 2 hours with these antelopes, and you'll barely hear anything from them. If anything, they're very inaudible, but definitely they do communicate. I still had bigger plans of trying to look for a cat, and I'll leave these antelopes here as I move on.
Welcome to my corner of the world by the banks of Mara River, and I have the huge croc now has been joined by a smaller croc, looks like a female because of the difference in color, and they are trying to feast on that dead toppy. I don't know when it happened, but it looks like it was this afternoon. They have pushed it towards the bank where the current is not as strong. Remember, for them to eat, they normally cut big chunks of meat, and by supporting one another, one would hold and the other one will do the death roll and spin around, rip off a very big chunk of meat and swallow it. That's what they do. I haven't seen that happen. I'm hoping it's gonna happen, because now that the topi is gone. Yeah, there we go. There we go. Are crocodiles territorial? Females, when they're protecting their eggs, they have a small place where they protect, but basically they are not territorial in the water. Yeah, let's continue watching this. Look at this, you know, one is anchoring while the other one is trying to rip up some meat. It went half spin and then went back. I don't know if it became too tight or too strong for it. I don't know what exactly happened, but this is, you know, live. It's happening now. Yeah, I don't know if you can hear thunder. We have big rains coming. Look at those teeth on that croc. This is the Nile crocodile. Yeah, the Nile crocodile. These guys wait for up to 1 year to feed, and once the migration is here, they will gorge themselves as much as possible. If you look at the guy to the left, he's so full, he's not eating at all. He was the one holding on to the kill earlier and just keeping it until this female arrived. Looks like they're taking, you know, also the female is taking a break. These guys are able to, you know, rip off meat without taking in water. The Kosa, you say they're a couple of big boys. Of course they are, although looks like a female to the right, but they are definitely big guys here. This river is no joke. It's no swimming area. I don't know what's happening there, but looks like it's pulling on to something. Let's see. Okay, I'm gonna keep watching. If there's any action, don't you worry, you won't miss it.
Here is the crocodile's much smaller relative, being a reptile. But that's about where the similarities stop. Well, they both are predators. And here is our flap-necked chameleon looking absolutely miserable. He would actually be, or she, I did have a good look at it the last time, and it did actually seem to be a she, but we'll have to wait until it grows a little larger to be totally certain. But we're just going to say it for now. Being a reptile and being an ectotherm, so the ambient temperature of the environment is the temperature that it would be inside, means that a lot of the processes, the metabolic processes, will be slowed down. And it'll try to be as still as possible and use up as little energy as possible. Whatever it can conserve, it will desperately try to maintain. You can see not much movement at all. Now, usually, this is Fernando, everyone. A chameleon you would have seen quite often is very, very still. Normally, it does move around a little bit more. Lisa, you say it really does look like a leaf. Truly. And having pinholes for eyes, or rather a pinhole eyelid. That whole round thing is its eye, but the eyelid is fused with a tiny little pinhole. That even helps it camouflage more, don't you think, Lisa? It's just, look at that. You can hardly tell, but I did realize that we'll probably find it at the bottom of the guari bush, because that's where it's most insulated. Lots of grass around and not catching too much of the wind, the icy wind. It does truly look a little bit miserable, doesn't it? Poor thing. But this is part of life, and sometimes chameleons will find a nice warm-ish area compared to, say, just being out on the road. I'm sure lots of people feel this way in this weather. Well, he is, or she, is staring off into the distance, probably engaging in some sort of sleep. But you can see the other eye is still alert, looking around for any potential predators and potential meals. Poor thing. Oh, there's some movement. We've detected some movement. Now, because I'm actually on the road, normally we park just on the verge so we can have a good look at it. But I've parked a little further away because I didn't want it to expend any extra energy because it sees a big chunk of metal coming towards it. The facial expression definitely doesn't help the general vibe, shall we say, of Fernando this afternoon. It's an upside down smile. And little droplets on its head as well. Now, some books will say that chameleons crawl into little burrows, little rock crevices during this time, but as you can see, the more you're out here, the more you learn, and you learn about little things that maybe books don't show you. And here we have a chameleon in the middle of a very cold day on its tree.
Certainly understand in this such a weather, chameleon, called it blood animal, so true. When it's colder, no animals would like that really, you know. Just like right here we're sitting now with zebra and impala together, also could be the same thing, that they now chosen to be together for safety reason. So animals that thus combine or in number get around, there's a chance of survive, which is it's a better chance to see predators approach from the way of distances. Zebra and impala, they form friends, which what you've seen right there. You see how zebra almost close to that impala, but there's no kind of chasing one another, which is so great on doing that. When it comes to the feeding, there is no way they would fight for over a food or anything, because zebra, they prefer slightly taller grasses, which now what you see in there, impala's all browsing. So here, friendship, it's 100% strong, where there's no looking at somebody thinking maybe stealing your food or water or anything. It's kind of a beautiful looking animals as a zebra. What are your way of enjoying your wild nature out here? So zebra, when they always stay healthy, only way you can tell when they're sick, it's when you see that mane along the neck fall off. Then you know that animals, it's sick, not healthy. But look at now, it looks like all of them all neck, mane's up, so it means that they're all healthy animal. So great.
Well, not very sure to talk of friendship here, like between the zebras and the impalas, because we got two giraffes here, which I'm not sure is a play fight or is an actual fight. And of course, if it's an actual fight, there's no friendship business here. I may not be able to tell right away if they are bulls or cows, but my guess is these are two males, and they are going out for each other. And what I want to investigate if it's an actual fight or a play fight. And if it is, this is what we call necking. Very typical with male giraffes. And it's all about dominance at the end of the day. Dominancy to control territory, dominancy to control breeding. And occasionally, this necking or this fight has been fatal. What we'll always do, you'll always get two males move on the side. Megan, you're saying, wow, necking giraffe. Yes, Megan, this is exactly what's happening. It's a kind of a fight that's always done by these bulls here. And I was saying earlier, sometimes it doesn't end very well. There was a big fight, I think, in this area, not very far from where we are in the Masai Mara, in the last year or thereabouts. We had two males of giraffes that were fighting, and apparently it was fatal for both bulls. It wasn't a very normal fight or a very normal occurrence. One died earlier, and the other one died much later of injuries, but from the same fight. I mean, we tried to look at it. Sorry, I got interrupted there by thunderstorms. I'm not sure whether Bungay wants to show you the wall of the rain. And I'm sure after he shows you where that wall of the rain or where that thunderstorms are coming from, he might also be showing you how it looks. One side of the sky looks beautiful, clear, no clouds of rain, the cumulus, nimbus. But looking there, that's the wall I'm talking about. Nancy, you're asking, do giraffes recognize their family members? Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, every herd, every family will have particular small clusters or small groups or smaller families among the huge family. What I'm saying is, like that group there, Nancy, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You may get cows there, sisters or first cousins with their calves together. Occasionally, you get many families coming together, and they may move for the obvious reasons of feeding. Then, after some time, they split to individual families or to nuclear families. So that's what Nancy, I'm saying. They do actually recognize their family members. Not sure whether those giraffes are there to have a drink. And for those of you who are seeing these species now, these are what we call the Maasai giraffe. It's always very interesting to see how giraffes put the legs apart to have a drink. But I highly doubt they want to drink there. Maybe they will. So I want to bypass those giraffes and still try and keep the promise I had for you earlier of try and get spotted cats.
Welcome back to the river, and the zebras have decided to get closer to the bank, but they haven't made the decision. Well, giraffes are beautiful to watch, especially in the African plains. You know, the tall trees and open plains, they're amazing to watch. Yes, looks like there was a decision made a little bit earlier for them to walk towards water, but once they got there, looks like they chickened out and they're all leaving the bank. These are the games they play when they get to the banks. It's a hard decision. Nobody wants to go fast. They know the danger lurks in the water. Those big crocodile we just showed you, can kill for fun, just like, true predators out in the open land. So they have to be very, very careful. Some of them have been through this. They know it by experience that it is dangerous. Yes, let's see if they're gonna go. I'm staying, and if they do go, we'll surely share the action. I don't know if it is now. I don't know.
Isaac made a funny joke. We're also with some animals that are sticking around. Get it? Sticking around. This elephant is feeding on some of the bark. It's a wonderful, cold, windy afternoon, and we are spending a bit of time with these elephants as they feed and try and keep themselves warm and just enjoy it. Hi, my name is Mike. Behind the camera, we've got Odie. And we are here at Eco Training's Pride Lands Conservancy. And as always, close to Ndlovu Dam in the camp, it's always elephants around. So we're just enjoying them at the moment, busy feeding around here and doing their thing. These are a couple of bulls in this area. As you can see, this one young bull here is making a real mess out of this small sickle bush. It's a very, very nutritious tree when it's got its leaves, but it seems like maybe even without the leaves, it's quite a delicious meal. Maybe not so delicious as quite necessary. As you can see, it's got lots of spines all over it, but seems to manage quite well enough as long as it's careful with it. You watch him stripping the bark off with his teeth as he chews on it. Quite awesome to watch them as they manipulate these branches with their multiple tools. Still chewing on that one. Look how the branch is moving into its mouth slowly as it chews. It chews from left to, or from right to left, or left to right, I don't know. It just chews sideways, and the branch slowly filters through its mouth, and you can see the branches come out of its mouth now with no bark left on it. The bark is in its mouth, and that's what's got the nutrients, although not a lot of nutrients, to be honest. Most of the nutrients in these trees has actually gone into the roots, ready for the growing season to shoot it up into the branches once it gets sunny enough and hot enough, and once a little bit of rain falls, so it can start producing that green material to photosynthesize and make itself grow quickly in the springtime. But watch that, look at those spines. So this is a sickle bush, and those woody spines on the branch are incredibly tough. They will puncture a car tire super quickly. And so it's very, very tough for this elephant to feed on it without hurting itself, but super clever. Look at that. Well done.
Yeah, welcome back. The zebras looks like they seem to be making a decision, but nobody has taken a leap yet. Do we have a leader yet? That's a decision to be made in the next coming minutes, if there is one. But I doubt it, because they seem to be getting to the water and then turning away. Remember, this is live. It's coming from, from the Masai Mara, the Mara Triangle, and this is a journey that they make from one part of the Mara to the other. Just because they need to get where there is grass and more grass, or join the rest of the herd as they head back to the Serengeti. But it is very tricky once they get here on when they're going to go. Looks like there is one that has gone in. Yes, they have gone in behind the Rosaline, how deep is the river? It differs from 1 feet to around 8 feet, but it does get very high, up to 30 feet in the rainy season. It doesn't have a constant depth. It differs from one area to the other. Looks like 3 have made it. Do we have more? No, everybody has chickened out. That was amazing, guys. We just have 3. Yeah, it looks like we have 3 that have just gone around, across. Everybody else has gone back. Let's see if we're gonna have some more go. But this has been the norm. A few going, then the rest just retreating and not going. I don't know what they saw there. I cannot see either from that corner where they go down and where they come out, so I'm not quite sure if one was taken. Let's see. If it goes down, then it means there is nothing, nobody was taken. Okay, looks like she's going. Looks like she's going. Is she gonna go? Go, zebra. Yeah, we've been waiting. Please go. That was amazing, guys. Just see 3. Yes, those were 3, and we've been waiting for very long, so hopefully they can go now. Go, zebra. It's now or never before the crocs come, if you knew that, if you heard me. Yeah, from experience, they know it is dangerous, and some of them, I think they can hear or can feel the sound, or can feel the water, and it's too strong, so they are afraid to go down. Rain Man, you say those were 3 heroes? For sure they were. To go and manage to go across this river, and only 3 of you, definitely you are heroes. I think they're across the river telling these other guys, look at you guys, you are chickens. We just managed, you should have come with us. Now you have to wait, and the crocodiles are going to come. I wonder what goes on their mind, or when they meet, what do they talk about? Zebra language. Yeah, remember this is Bachel's zebra. Zebra very common in East and Central Africa, with a population of about 500,000 during the wildebeest migration, or during this time of migration. Maybe around 150,000, 200,000 cross the river. Nobody has ever really made a count, and it is also very tricky because there are so many different crossings. Unless we have so many people stationed in all these crossings, then we can keep count. But it is very difficult. Yeah, looks like they've gone back and regroup and discuss. Okay, I think I'm gonna wait here, see what's gonna happen. If they don't, then I'm gonna proceed on and try and find you something else.
And there's also a potential crossing going on here. We are on the western side, the western bank of the Mulwati. This giraffe is on the eastern bank of the Mulwati. There's the drainage down there. Nope, looks like it's going to turn around and away from us too. Just majestic. It had quite bald ossicles, things at the top of their head. And it is a male. Mint Magic, you'd like to know if the cold wind affects animal behavior. Wind in general, not just cold wind. We're just going to do a bit of a reverse safari while I chat to you so that we can get another view. Not just cold wind, but wind in general will affect the behavior of animals. Cold wind is obviously uncomfortable. Cold wind is obviously uncomfortable, but it doesn't affect too much. It's wind in general that becomes a problem, and that's because the sound that animals will use, their senses of hearing and being able to smell very acutely, those become disrupted in the wind. And that's because it's not just air, these are all particles. And as a scent moves, it moves through these particles. Sound uses these particles to move. So if they're constantly They're constantly shaken around by wind. Oh, we have a woolly neck stork. Then they can't actually get an accurate picture as they normally would of the environment around them. Instead, they get a distorted sense of smell and a distorted sense of sound. And sometimes you'll see impalas are just alarming at the wind, and something might actually be behind them. But because it keeps moving around, they can't pinpoint exactly where potential problems are. Well, here's a woolly neck stork just checking out the edges of twin dams, maybe even finding a meal.
So we've still got elephants, and they're on the move now. Maybe the wind on this east-facing hillside is bothering them because they're now mobile quickly away from us. I'm going to try and follow them, but I know the signal here is not great, so I don't really want to move too much in case we lose signal. But as you can see how well they get camouflaged. And amongst these sticks and branches, you know, they do form a fairly, good barrier against the wind. Now, elephants are rather large, so they don't get cold very quickly, but once they do, it's very difficult for them to warm up again, and they need a lot of food. So you can see it's holding its ears tight to its body to try and conserve as much heat as possible, and it's moving down the slope now to the lower areas where there's maybe a little bit less of the wind. Okay, let me see. There's a road just ahead of us. Let me see if I can get us towards this elephant without losing the signal. But there's also three fork-tailed drongos following this elephant. Now, on a cold day like this, small animals get cold much quicker than the large animals. And so if they don't keep eating, metabolizing and creating heat, they won't survive very well. So what we're going to do is just try and see if we can find those drongos and elephants again.
Welcome to a very cool and windy and beyond Pinna Private Game Reserve. We just came across this herd of buffalo slowly feeding towards us. My name is Dewald, and behind the camera we've got Craig, and we are just sitting and waiting for this herd of buffalo here behind us to slowly move towards us. You can see it's quite a distance away, and they've actually slowly started moving up, but we don't want to go down into the dip there because then we are scared that they might move into the thickets to the sides of the road, so rather gonna wait for them to head up in this direction. You can actually see there's a youngster on the road there, a little bit lighter in color. Not feeding too far away from mum there. I think all these buffalo are in this dip here at the bottom of the hill, so that they can get out of this cold breeze that's blowing. Seems like it's quite a cold day today, but we're gonna hang around here for now. They are super cute, these buffalo. You can see there's actually two coming down the road there now. Yeah, that youngster is super adorable, Michael. He just moved off into the grass there. You can see he's just gone off to the right. See, there's even a fork-tailed drongo around. While we wait for these buffalo to come up towards us, we might just try and reposition and stick around for now.
Yay, we have the malachite kingfisher again in the same area that we did before. And I saw one go towards the Mulwati as well, which is not too far from here, maybe just... Oh, down it goes. And off to the other side. So obviously there's two that have been hanging around. Which is just great. Because the one we saw definitely going to the Mulwati, and I didn't expect it to be here. And then another one was here. This is just gorgeous. Now they actually would love a pond like this. This is the second or the southern dam on Twin Dams, which is why it's called Twin Dams. And on this side, the water is very stagnant, very muddy, and very swamp-like. And that's exactly what they like. I'm so glad to see it again. So glad. I think I said to you last time how much I've just wanted to see one so desperately. Oh, you've caught something. It's just a gorgeous, gorgeous girl. It makes me a gorgeous bird. It makes me a very happy girl. Here we have a Natal spurfowl that's poking about in the swampy area. And our malachite kingfisher, where have you gone? Our malachite kingfisher seems to have moved away. And now we have the Natal spurfowl pecking along the stagnant water's edge. Now, I wanted most of all to show you the kingfisher, but it has... How could it fly away? Much like birds, they tend to fly away. I'm going to just inch a little bit more forward. Dizzy, what a question. You'd like to know if there are any carnivorous plants in the area and if they would eat birds. We don't have any carnivorous plants in the area. At least none that I've known of or heard of ever in this area. And certainly not any to the size that would take birds. Carnivorous plants are quite an enigma with botanists, not because they're carnivores, but because of the fact that they seem to be able to count. How awesome is that? And how strange does that sound? But they do. They seem to be able to count. They seem to be, but not in the sense that we can. They don't know 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But they are able to tell how much strength they need, how big, how large the animal that they have in their grasp is, based on the amount of times, the little hairs that they use to sense that an animal is around, the amount of times that it is being touched. If lots of hairs are being touched, then they know it's a large animal, and then they can close with much more strength. Fewer hairs touched, a smaller animal. And it ranges something between 2 and 5 hairs being touched within a certain period of time, and that initiates their mechanism to close. Which is quite intriguing, because the more we learn about these things, the more you realize that plants have a really, really well-developed sense of the world and the environment, even though they don't have the typical senses that we do. Now, I see a lilac-breasted roller looking quite miserable as well, just on the top of that tree there. Let's go a little forward again. Just down there. Nay. Ah. Our rain roof will not permit it, unfortunately. Oh, let's try. There we just have our Cape turtle dove, but below it, oh, and it's just flown off. How could you, lilac-breasted roller? Oh, well. Cape turtle dove will keep us company in the meantime. Well, I'm going to wait here for the malachite kingfisher anyway, so it's definitely going to be keeping me company. Huh? Natal spurfowls again going a little bit bonkers. I can't see the spurfowls, but let's take a quick drive around and we'll end up on the dam wall. All right, hopefully my malachite kingfisher, or our malachite kingfisher now, will be there too, but I'm sure there'll be some other birds along the shores.
Beautiful. From birding in a point of view, it's great that we also now right here sitting with an owl. It looks like a spotted eagle owl from the distance, just looking at his eye and a little tooth, which is looks like a feather. Looks like an ear, but it's a long feather just above that eye. Looks like, yeah, it's a spotted eagle owl. You can able to, we can't get enough closer more than this, but you can able to see its eye right now. Indeed, it's beautiful. So, a night bird. It happens we were driving along this ravine here. It got disturbed and it flew away. We were not sure if we were able to find it again, but there it is. Daniel, yeah. Indeed, look at that. Compared to that tree bark and then the bird itself. And this is what makes them camouflage, especially when they perch and during the day for a hide. I mean, they call the day, and the day they don't really move around too much. But so other birds must see and spot them, because otherwise, if they come visible, once the bird gather its visual, and it's going to be so much birds in the area trying to shout at him, because it's a predator for most birds, this owl. A spotted eagle owl. Beautiful eye. Incredible eyesight as well, so especially at night. Look at this.
Standing by. Okay, so there was an owl that was looking at food, and we've actually found some food right here, not of an owl, but of an elephant. And what's interesting is this is called a sandpaper raisin, and we've seen the elephants doing a lot of damage to these particular trees recently, because I think they're trying to get to the roots. But what's interesting about this tree is, I don't know if you can see here, it's got a very square stem. So all the main stems of this tree are quite square in their shape, and that's quite interesting because it was used not only by elephants, but also by people at one stage. So I've actually plucked a small piece here, which was lying on the ground. It's still got some quite green bark on it, so that's obviously what the elephants are trying to eat. It's got the sugary cambium, but it's got a square shape. So what used to happen, so in southern Africa, there are schools where young, in the Shanghai, it's quite prominent, and they'd go all sorts of things. About what happens there, I certainly don't, but I do know that that the young men have to undertake certain tasks in order to fulfill their rite of passage into adulthood, among other things. And one of the things things that happens, if they're unable to complete a task successfully, they might end up having to go through a punishment. And it's I understand that my communications are breaking up, so hopefully it's not going to last too much longer. But anyway, basically what happens is if the young man cannot complete the task, these square stems get put between their fingers and they squeeze the fingers as tight as possible, and it's very painful. And if the young men were able to do so without crying out in pain, then they'd get another chance to accomplish the task and hopefully make it to manhood. That's gone quite painful, to be honest. Let's see. Owen, I need your help with this. You're going to have to squeeze my fingers.
I'll show you the malachite kingfisher. It's just gone for a bit of a dive. Bad choice, in my opinion, in this weather. But hey, I am not an aquatic specialist, am I? No captive in its bowl this time, but I'm sure it will be successful the more it spends time along the dam edges. Isn't it just gorgeous? I really, really, really love this bird. They'll grab whatever they like, a small fish or insect, whatever it is, and they'll bash it against the branch that they're on, if it needs to be bashed, and then swallowed whole. Just gorgeous. Well, guys, it's that time of the show, and we're so glad to have had you on board. And please do go online and type in Wild Earth, and you can continue watching and see what else this kingfisher gets up to. But for now, bye-bye. Hello, everybody. The kingfisher has gone. But that's okay, because I am now satisfied that this kingfisher has been in this area 2 days in a row, so maybe, just maybe, it'll stick around. You remember me, it's me, Tswalu with BK, on camera, at least for now. And like we've said to you, it is quite cold. And now malachite kingfisher went for a dive. In this weather, it must have been taking tips from Dylan. I feel like he might go for a dive in this weather. It's been moving around from this main twin dam over to the smaller bit, the stagnant dam. Sassy Cassie, you'd like to know what is the most common bird in Djuma? Woo. I can give you a few that I think are the most common. I don't have numbers for them. Crested barbet, fork-tailed drongo, and pretty much all three of the starlings that are very common. So that would be greater blue-eared glossy starling, Cape glossy starling, or the Birchall starling. All of them are super common. Oh, what about the Cape turtle dove? Cape turtle dove, does a drive ever go by where I don't ever see a Cape turtle dove? One at least for every hour of show. I am going to go with Cape turtle dove. Nobody wants to be known as common, really, but I think that they are the most common. They're also quite beautiful, I think. They have really nice blush colors, you know? And everything has this. It almost looks, you know what I mean, those blush kind of hints of color, a little bit pale pastel. I think it's very pretty.
Indeed, beautiful. You know, starling is also a gorgeous bird. And as we were driving along the drainage line here, we spotted the spotted eagle owl. Hi everyone, my name's Andrew Theo behind the camera. So as you can see, from that tree, we couldn't actually get to see the whole body of the bird, but this was just an example of what the bird looked like. We're going to go back to the bird right now, but you will able to see only the hair on top of those. Seems to be ears, but they're thick hair growing right there. It just look like an ears, but they're not true ears. So we're going to go back to the bird right now. Look at that. All right, let's see if we can find it in that tree again. See right there. This is our owl we're right looking at right now, but beautiful owls. So they nocturnal. The reason they've been picked up is because we were driving along the drainage line system here, and they get fright and then fly off. And that's how we spot it. But you know, I have Theo with me, so he's the one who's saying, you know, it's owl, stop. So it was very good, beautiful spotting in that. So we have 50 centimeter length. Rainer, indeed, you know, it's beautiful, same to me. I mean, to find in such a night bird in its open, look at its eye, you know. This is how they do when they take it easy in a day, and they always find tree that almost look like their color. If you look at that bark of combretum tree or ladywood tree, just look like the same color as that bird. Ladywood is one of the big trees out here. Ladywood trees is one of the strongest trees out here, so look at that. Hardly to see the beak, but they have very sharpening beak. We're talking about the wingspan of 113 centimeter. It's big. And they do such a beautiful call out there when they want you at night.
Good afternoon and welcome to and Beyond Ngala, where we are currently busy driving in a smallish riverbed. Now myself, I'm Yapi, and behind the camera we have Gert. We have been having a relatively quiet afternoon animal-wise, but it's been pretty good otherwise. We are currently busy looking for any signs of leopard in this area. We had tracks earlier on and looked like it smelled the ground where a waterbuck was urinating. And the tracks weren't particularly fresh, so we're hoping that we might pick up on anything fresher in this area. With a little bit of rain we've had today, we've been struggling to see exactly how fresh the tracks is when we do pick up on them. And very faint tracks will be raining out, unfortunately. But we have been seeing some pretty good predatory birds around these riverbeds, and we're hoping that along the way, even if we don't find that leopard, we might come across some good bird activity. Now, this small riverbed that we're driving in, this is a riverbed that's actually part of the system that flows into the bigger river, which is the Timbavati River. And usually where these two at the confluence, that's usually the best path for a female leopard in this area that move around here. Some nice big trees around. We have quite a few large leadwoods.
Well, good luck, and hopefully you're going to find a leopard. That I have not been able to find one, but I've been able to get some birds for you, which I'm sure they are better than nothing. And we got two types or species of birds here. If you look carefully, we've got a heron and we've got a sacred ibis. Now, would want to talk more the sacred ibis because the two birds feed differently. The heron, I guess, is the black-headed heron, and see how close she's coming to the heron, the sacred ibis rather. The black and the white, the one is feeding the sacred ibis, and that tells you they got very different feeding habits. Now, funny enough, both of them are birds, but one can see and has food, and the other one does not. As much as they tend to eat the same things, I'm talking of some crustaceans or some invertebrates, but the feeding style is totally different. Now, herons will be very patient, and they do not only eat invertebrates, like the sacred ibis. They'll also go for mice or rats or some types of reptiles, but they wait until maybe they see some small movement in the grass. Once they see what they're looking for and they're able to target a prey, they just shoot their beaks or their necks just like a spear. And the first thing they'll do is to sting their would-be prey. And of course, the first thing is to subdue. For example, if it's a mouse or a rat or a chameleon or maybe some kind of an agama. And they'll put it in the mouth or rather in the beak just to make sure it's dead. Megan, I'll tell you, these birds, and especially herons, they'll feed anywhere. And I'm sure, Megan, unlike most birds, Megan, that feed during the day, herons will feed, or rather will feed day and night. There's something very unique, Megan, about the herons. And of course, we have been having some rains, and I'm sure for a couple of minutes, maybe, you did not see me and Bungay anywhere. It's because we had a bit of a storm, and we had to almost power down. We brought the canvas of the vehicle down. What I'm trying to say, we got some rains that are going on. And so long as water is going to collect anywhere, these herons will get a feeding ground. But you're right, ideally, you'll get herons and most birds that you call fall birds close to water bodies. Very patient, does it say the heron? Waiting until she sees what she wants, then strikes. And then what will happen once she catches her prey, kills it in the beak, and then just swallow it as big or as whole as it is. Well, I won't keep my plans that I had earlier, and I'll be moving on.
They do it quite dramatically. It almost looks like they're taking a shot very dramatically. It's one big heron party. I think I am going to check out the hyena den. It's been such a long time since we spent time with them. But given the weather, it might be too cold for them to come out. But then also given that they were active this morning, as in the adults, around Lalamba and potentially Herkill, maybe everyone's just relaxing at the den this afternoon. Either way, we'll find out, won't we? Last couple times I've checked it, it has been inactive, so I haven't neglected them. But a lot of the time, it's about timing. Who'd have thought that a lot of the time it's about timing? But it is. And also it went from a very hot to a dramatic drop in temperature and just the general weather, because it started to rain, cold, and all of that. Quite damp from a day when it was really, really warm, and days before that being warm as well. And I've also noticed that if there's activity on the reserve, such as lions or leopards, and established sightings, and the hyenas tend not to be at the den, or the adults at least, and as you know, we can only stay there if the adults are there. And that makes sense because most of them would sniff out this predator, and the adults would be gone looking for their next meal, or as we say, the parents have gone out shopping. I'm glad to see that mostly the rain has ceased. Here is a Birchall starling. I'm just getting very, very light mist. Mist on my face. Every time BK goes to it, it jumps a branch higher. Look at it. Also a little cold, a little wet, but at least its face looks a little less miserable than Fernando's.
So as we journeyed further down this little riverbed, we came across a very shy giraffe. You can see that giraffe's got his head deep in what, I'm not even sure what tree that is at the moment. But he's definitely found something good to eat there. If you watch him carefully, oh, there's an impala behind him as well. Didn't even see that earlier. I'm sure that impala, as you can see the impala's head is down on the ground, and that is pretty much sand.
Sorry about that, guys. You're back with me, and we are driving along looking for our next common bird that we see around all the time. Another starling to play a trick on BK. Oh, look, BK. No starlings to play tricks on you. They're being nicer. Okay, let's stop and just watch for a little bit. I see a golden-breasted bunting, BK. Over to the left. It's somewhere there. Yeah. And off it goes. Oh, it's always nice to just stop and get the gift of a bunting. A bunting boon. Every time my binoculars are just absolutely mistied up at the moment. Excuse me. Woo! We have a woodpecker. It looks like a cardinal. A streaked breast. But Do you have a brown four-crown? Yes, you do. We have a cardinal woodpecker. Oh, that's nice. Oh, don't you love it when you just take a moment to be still and lovely birds present themselves? It's amazing how effective their beaks are and the whole process of hammering against the wood. You can see little wood bits actually falling off. Is that lovely? I'm quite happy with that. Whoa, look at the movement of that neck. Looks a little bit creepy, but good on it. Obviously, it's getting it the type of food it needs.
So, and welcome back. So this giraffe has finally decided to take his head out amongst the trees. Just have a look at how high he's reaching to get to those leaves. The impala was somewhere in that area. He went up the riverbank. But you can see there's quite a lot of green around this riverbed at the moment. Before we cut off the previous time, it just started raining and the rain is coming down at this moment. But it's not as cold here because there's not so much wind. Notice if you have a careful look at the branches around the giraffe's head, it's moving because of him feeding. Look at that long tongue. Stretching all the way up, trying to grab that little branch. There we go. And then he strips it. You can see clearly how such a long tongue, it'll be sticky because of the saliva on it. And how handy it can come in to reach that far to reach places. Now, no other large animal except another large male giraffe will be able to reach there. And let's watch him. I think he's going to walk from the one green bush to the next one. There we go, there's the young impala as well. And what looks like a little drongo, fork-tailed drongo. Christy, giraffes, I don't know if they have a specific favorite leaf to eat. I think it is something that's probably not all around the same. I think it would depend on the area. For instance, giraffes living in the desert compared to giraffes living over here. I think over here their diet would consist of different trees because there's different vegetation type in this area. Now, I have noticed that giraffes in this particular area is known to eat a lot of the leaves of a tree called the tamboti tree, and also the different type of Vacelias and Senegalias, or the trees formerly known as the acacias. Now, I know knobthorns especially, I think it also varies according to the time of the year. At the moment, the knobthorns are flowering, and I've been noticing them eating quite a lot of that. But now that he's down in this riverbed here, there is a couple of tambotis growing on the bank in that area where he is sticking his head in as well. And he might actually be trying to reach some of the last ones here in the riverbed that still got leaves on.
Well done, Yapi, for having spotted a giraffe. Now, I talked of spotting or getting a spotted cat, but now instead of that, I got a spotted predator, which definitely is not a cat, but a hyena. And this is the very famous spotted hyena, or sometimes we call it the laughing hyena. And you can tell she's up to something, smelling just like me, because from where we are, we got a kill that is from a buffalo over a couple of days ago. I think this is day 5, and this is definitely what she is after. We'll show you the kill of a buffalo that was brought down here 5 days ago by some youngster lions. And apparently this is what is left. Should you be a bit squeamish? We'll just warn you, but this is exactly how the cycle of life goes on here. So we want to find out exactly what that hyena wants to do, if she'll go close to that carcass or not.
We've given up on those buffalo, and they moved into some thickets, and we came back to watering hole we passed earlier, and we came across these 2 beautiful white rhinos just coming for a nice afternoon drink. The water is just in front of their heads there. We just can't see the water. And just as you came down to us now, they went down with their heads, and they're actually starting to drink again. So I'm just keeping my voice nice and low, because you can see that they're still listening towards us. We're actually standing straight towards where that ear is listening to. So I just want to keep nice and quiet, so we don't freak them out or anything like that while they're drinking around the water. See the other one drinking through the other one's legs there. Had quite a big gulp there. See the water dripping from his mouth. See if we keep quiet, if he'll go down and drink again. Oh, he's not even listening to us anymore. Quickly have a look through the binoculars. I haven't even had a chance to see if it's a few females. Oh no, it does look like the one closest to us might be a young bull. And I remember a while ago we were actually filming 2 young bulls in this area that were sticking together. I wonder if it's not the same 2 that were still hanging around in the home range of their mothers. Probably just hanging together for some companionship. Interesting how the one is a bit lighter in color compared to the other. Chris, you're asking why they are called white rhinos, and I think a lot of people think that seeing as black and white rhinos are both very similar in color and both grey. So it is believed that the word white rhino comes from when the first Dutch people, they named these rhinos wyd-lip rhinoster, which literally translates to wide-lipped rhino, because the white rhino, I don't know, you can see there, that one's got quite a flat, wide lip, and there was a bit of a mistranslation, and they thought it was white instead of wide, and now the name is just stuck, and the other one automatically became black rhino after this one was given the name white rhino. But I think there's a few theories, but that's the most popular one. You can see the one on the left-hand side I was saying earlier is a little bit darker than the one on the right. And I think it might just be the mud that he was rolling in a little bit earlier that was maybe a little bit darker than the one on the right-hand side. There's another vehicle that's just come up over the crest, and their heads are going down a little bit. So maybe they are getting closer to the water to drink again. See, still listening towards us. They keep on listening towards us. There we can see head going down, drinking again. So this is a small watering hole very close to a big dried out watering hole just behind us. Shirley, you're asking how much does a white rhino need to drink during a day? That's a very interesting question. Actually, I'm not too sure about it myself. I'll have to get back to you on that. Because it really differs between the species, and I know some rhino species like the black rhino and sometimes the white rhino can occur in more arid areas where they rely on moisture inside the plants that they eat, but they will drink water if it is available to them. See how this young bull is now moving away. You can see that fold between his back legs there, that it is a young bull. The females would not have that fold there, but they would have teats between their back legs. See how the one is still sticking around the water there, maybe hasn't drank as much as the other one. He had a bit of a fright. I think there's some birds that flew down to the water. You can see how nervous they are around the water. Oh, there's a vehicle driving in the distance. I wonder if the wind was maybe blowing the sound and the scent towards them. Just to get back to your question, I think I remember now that white rhinos, a fully grown white rhino, probably drinks something between 60 to 70 liters of water a day, and that's a fully grown white rhino. So these two are a little bit younger, maybe a little bit less, and it depends on the sex as well. You can imagine a female white rhino with some youngsters. If she has a baby drinking her milk, then she might need to drink even more water. Oh, this one's pulling his tail up, and see how he's reversing a little bit. He might do something here in front of us. There we go. He just filled up the tank and now is emptying it right by the water. Of course, giving us a beautiful view like the animals always do. The other rhino to the left-hand side of him, just in front of him, is actually waiting for him. Very, very good friends, obviously, if he's waiting for him after all of this. Just when you think it's done, there's just more and more coming out. And the fact that this rhino is urinating like this, without really scratching with his back legs on the ground or anything like that, probably, that's a good indication that this is a young bull and not a dominant bull in this area yet, because he would be trying to spread that scent all over the place by scratching with his back legs and kicking with his back legs through the urine, and maybe saving that urine and not urinating on one spot like that, but rather a few places as he's trying to mark his territory, which he's obviously not doing. But just moved a little bit forward, and then they're listening to quite a lot of red-billed quilios coming over. Big swarm of birds flying around. I don't know if you can hear them all flying close by. Oh, I can actually see the birds. Oh, you know what? Actually sounds like... Yeah, they're all coming over kind of towards the rhinos now. Craig's going to see if he can get a view of them. It actually looks like it might be some common wax bills rather, and not... There they go. All of them flying off. Can hear them. And they're all coming down what looks like to the water. Oh, no, they've gone past. And of course some hadidas as well. These rhinos are quite interested of what's going on around them. They're just listening. I think after that vehicle passed by, they may be a little bit keen to still drink. So they're not really leaving the area of the water. Let's see what they do from here. They see how they're smelling the ground with their heads close to the ground. They might actually go and look for some mud. Emily, you're asking white or black rhinos ever mate? So they do not mate. They are two different species. I think there has been some instances in captivity where the poor animals had no choice and the only other rhinos that were close by were white or black, but the hybrid that comes out of there is completely unnatural, and it is highly unlikely for a white and a black rhino to mate in the wild. So to answer your question, they don't. See how they've actually gone around to the other water there in the back. So I think they were still very keen for a drink. You can see there's a bit of water that's actually running at the feet of that other rhino on the right hand side there. Yeah, see a little bit of like a little stream coming over there. And as I said earlier, this is the only water really in this whole area. So they probably walked quite a distance to get to this water. Only water for quite a few kilometers as we are in the dry season. But you can see it is quite a cloudy day, and we are predicted to have quite a bit of rain, maybe tonight or tomorrow. Just said tonight. So hopefully there is a bit of that's going to be falling in the next 24 hours or so. I'm sure that all the animals will really appreciate that. See how that other bull's going down to drink even more. Interesting how... Oh, see how that... They are very nervous. What's going on? It just had a bit of a startle. There's a bit of a breeze blowing, and I wonder if they can maybe smell something that's making them very, very nervous. The distance that we are from them, I don't think it's my voice, because they were drinking earlier with us speaking even louder. They are listening kind of towards us, but also listening towards us, the left and so. Just shows you, even though they are such big animals, these two young bulls are still nervous, even though they probably don't have any natural predators anymore. Probably would have only been predated on when they were much younger. They might be nervous because of other dominant rhino bulls in the area, but also still nervous of any scent that maybe represents a predator. Let's see if we stick around here for a little bit. I'm going to see if I can even take my voice down a little bit more. And if they do go back to the water, if it seems like it is us that is affecting them to go and drink, then we will move away. Because I think it will be quite unfair to stick around here if they don't go to the water because of us, especially if they had to walk this far to drink. Let's give it a moment and see. You can just see that rhino's ears still listening towards us. The other bull is now slowly moving. Okay, seems like they're heading back to the water. If they start drinking again, then I think it's fine for us to stay here. Yeah, there we go. There we go. I'm going to keep my voice nice and low. I hope you can all hear me fine. Striped horse, you are asking what is a rhino's best sense? So I would say it is probably its smell, and very closely for second place would be hearing, and you can see those big nostrils that they've got, and you can see those big ears also turning and listening to all around them. And if you look at their eyes, they are by far the smallest of all their senses. So I think that is the worst part of their senses. And that's why the wind that is blowing at the moment has such a big effect on them. Because they'll be hearing what's coming with the wind, and also the scent that's been carried by the wind. And because they can't see very far and very well, they really rely on that, and that's why they really get affected by whatever the wind carries. You can just hear all the common wax balls going absolutely crazy around the watering hole here. You can almost imagine them standing there. As they're standing there, they're trying to distinguish what is maybe danger or what's not with this breeze coming over. And the fact that they are not moving away from the water probably means that they still want to come down for a little bit of a drink. It is also a cool afternoon, so it might be that they are quite lazy and quite reluctant to move around. It is actually quite freezing this afternoon. Oh, there's other vehicle coming down the road, so they might be listening in that direction for now. Yeah, and looks like they are keen to get onto the move, on the move. And while they move away, I think we'll keep on going and see if we can find some other animals.
As you can see, it's coming down quite hard in Djuma now. My face is dripping. At least it's gotten numb, so now it can't feel the cold very much. I've got a paw on camera at the moment. Did a little exchange, and now we're going towards Treehouse Dam, and then we'll go up and check out the den. Let's see what Treehouse Dam will have to offer. Hello, Treehouse Dam. That would be nice to actually watch it. Now we do have our flaps of our rain roof down as well, just to protect us from the rain. So I'm just going to turn around here. Maybe we'll be able to get a good look. Wow, you'll be able to see the rain. There we go. And if you look at the dam, you'll be able to see little droplets of rain. Yeah, but not much else happening on this side.
We've got a group of elephant bulls that have come down to Ndlovu Dam, just slowly sauntering away now. It's gotten a little bit wetter and windier, if it could be possible, as you can see those branches moving. They just came down to drink, but I think the wind and the rain is driving them away because it's not so pleasant. And although it takes them a long time to get cold, once they get cold, it's not so easy for them to warm up, especially when there's not plenty of food around. And we're expecting it to be cold for another couple of days. We'll get a bit of a view as they walk through the trees. They're actually not so far behind a herd of buffalo that we see in the distance as well. It's not easy to get them on camera. They're quite far away amongst the sticks. So if you follow this elephant as he walks there, you might just get a glimpse of those buffaloes past those trees. Beautiful big leadwood trees by this waterhole. A little bit of greenery on the weeping boybeans. There's the buffaloes there, just in the background of where those elephants are moving. We'll try and get around to them as well. Or there's a student just there standing by the edge of the waterhole as well, just behind where those elephants are. Oh, there's the buffalo. You can just see them through there. So they all came down to the waterhole a moment ago. Now they're all moving off amongst the bushes and trees and shrubs. It's wonderful to sit at the waterhole. That's what our plan was today. There's no point driving around because there's not much going on elsewhere. So we just basically spend the whole afternoon sitting at the waterhole, and as you can see, the water is shrinking down, but even on these cold days, animals still need to drink. They still need to come in and replenish their water supplies because they're eating all this very dry stuff. So, yeah, we'll wait a bit longer here. I'm sure more animals will come down slowly but surely throughout the early evening, as long as it's not too, as long as it doesn't get too much wet and windy, too much more.
Well, you may never know what you see, and from maybe living elephants, we have a dead buffalo here, and it was definitely, as I said earlier, killed 5 days ago, and we have seen the first scavenger, who we saw earlier trying to sneak on this carcass, came and pulled a big part of the bone, and that's what she is feeding on. Not sure this is part of the leg. Spotted hyena got very strong jaws, but currently now what she'll be doing is to eat the flesh before she even thinks of going to the bone. I mean, there's a lot of fresh food. Rather skittish because she doesn't know for sure if the actual owners of this kill are around the lions. So she's been eating, going away, coming back. I'm not sure exactly where she is going, or she wants to find out if there could be any track or any smell of the outside the lions that killed this buffalo 5 days ago. And if there's nobody here, then I'm sure chances are she'll come back and eat. So what we're going to do, we're going to move on, and also chance if this or those lions are not very far from here.
Look at this. Some Koki Franklin. Look at them with their beautiful orange heads. Just love them. Often heard and rarely seen. Here's another one. These are 2 males. Beautiful mustard head. You can see that they're quite puffed up and they're shaking themselves off every now and then. They're hanging out close to the hyena den. The last time there were franklins hanging out there, the cubs were chasing them around. Now this one closest to us looks like a female. Can you see those white and black markings on her face? Cleaning themselves, wondering, isn't this early? Why so much rain so early? Now they would be very thankful. Now they've been putting around the grass, or puttering rather, looking for little seeds. When I think of francolins, and if I had to say which is the zen of the whole mob, I would say Koki francolins seem to be really peaceful, quiet. Run, run, run. Oh, that's such a beautiful head. There we go, picking. Grass seeds, they love that. Huns, you say? Oh, very cute. They are very cute. Can you imagine these guys compared to, say, dwarf mongoose? They're about the same weight, which I think is so sweet. Compare them to a tub of cream cheese, 250 grams. That's about the average size of a dwarf mongoose. But they're not as small as a dwarf mongoose. They are larger, and that's because obviously they're birds and they have hollow bones and other adaptations to make sure that they're quite light. Whereas mongoose have dense bones and obviously built like a mammal. So they don't have any adaptations to make them lighter. Okay. Bracing myself to drive again. Let's go down here. I'm almost at the den. Koki. So sweet. All right, off we go. I'll see you at the den if there's anything happening there.
So we were just about to leave these rhinos, the two bulls that we saw drinking earlier, and then Craig was like, are we going to wait for these other rhinos? And I had no idea what he was talking about, and behind my back there was a female and a sub-adult calf that came, and here they are now at the water as well, coming for a drink. So it seems like this is the time of the day that all the rhinos in the area are going to slowly come towards this water here. You can see the size difference there between the mom on the right and the youngster on the left-hand side there. Also some white rhinos. You can see the wide mouth that we were talking earlier about. Shelley, you are asking why the white rhino is less aggressive than the black rhino. I don't think it's them just being aggressive per se. I think it's more nervousness, and it's probably just because of the social structure of the animals, but also the habitat that animals live in. So white rhinos like big open plains, grassland areas where there's lots of open spaces. They can usually hear and smell pretty well of what's going on around them and see stuff that's fairly close to them. Where black rhino, because they feed on twigs and leaves, they often stay in areas where it's a little bit more dense, and they can't really hear or smell or see very far away from them, and they are a little bit more nervous, and that is just why their temperaments are like that. So they do seem like they are more aggressive, but it's probably just because of years and years of evolution and how their senses have developed over time. There you can see the other two bulls, white rhino bulls, there in the back, just slowly moving off. Can just see their backs in the distance. This mom and youngster actually looks way more relaxed than the two young bulls there. Probably because they don't have to worry about a dominant bull coming and fighting with them. Heads down, and drinking as much as they possibly can. Oh, they just had a fright, but there was a dove that flew off just behind them. They had a bit of a delayed fright there though. Here we go, going back to the water, just making sure everything is okay. He's got his mom's back. Let's quickly have a look and see if that is a young bull or young female. I don't see that fold between the legs that we were talking about earlier, so that does look like a young female and her mother. So yeah, they're just listening to us a little bit. There's a few birds coming down to the water and flying around behind them as well, so they are just listening to them as well. Lina Polly, you are asking how tiny they are when they are born. So, newborn white rhino, we always joke around, they sometimes look like a big warthog when they are newborn. And they're not much bigger than that. They're actually a little bit smaller than a fully grown warthog. But they are super, super cute. And I think we're going to stick around for now and just see if they keep on drinking. But seems like this female is quite nervous, so we might keep on going and go look for some other animals.
That's great, from rhino to hippo. So now we got looks like a few hippos in this waterhole by the name of a Beversuk Dam waterhole. This is what we find them. This is where we got them right now. So kind of a beautiful animal, hippo. They were busy, very active, yawning when we get here. It's just because of maybe we are the present. There's more of them. And there's a second one there. There's a third one. Could be maybe 4 in this water hole. Hippos that are nocturnal, and this kind of weather is fine with them. When they feel it's safe for them to come out of the water, even during the day, they can come out the water, lie on the bank, or graze around if it's okay for them. But they prefer nighttime to do so, because then at night they can travel far away from the water then. Look at these nostrils. So cool that when the hippo, because they can only hold their breath underwater about maybe 6 to 8 minutes under the water, they can't breathe under the water for sure. But what they do is shut. So these nostrils, they can shut and open when they want to. So when they go under the water, they close them and they go down. Also, they close their eyes, ears as well. As you can see how smaller ears they get compared to that rhino you were just watching right now. No, it's kind of the communication's so bad. I couldn't actually get that question so well.
What temperature can they operate in?
Beverly, it's a good question there. So normally a water hole the hippo live on or stay on, it's, it's a water that they don't have to be either very warm or hot. But, cooler water, like a normal water, rainwater, or anywhere where the water is either very open or daylight, the water doesn't really get, boil up or anything higher the temperature. So could be anything from 25 degrees. My guess somewhere around there. Can't be more than like that, because then otherwise they don't need a hot water also, but the cold water is not a problem for them to sustain their skin. Of course, this skin is so thick, and without them being in the water, of course, it may dry it out. They can spend as much as they want outside the water, but it gets to a time where the skin does need the water, and then they have to reach the water. Otherwise, once that skin crack, due to the heat, also the dryness they get, they can't produce any oils on them, so it's easy for that skin to get dry and crack. And then to repair that, it's got to take a while, or hippo die sometimes of not being in contact with the water. But of course, at night, they will be able to operate far from water because it's no sunlight. And for that, they can reach as much as about, 6 Ks at night, graze. Bulls do their patrol boundary because they're also territorial. Sometimes he will leave his pod, his group, and then check his business, boundary, remark again. You remember they do that. How they mark their territory, they defecate by defecations. Spread their defecations towards the wood where that defecation may stay for longer. Just that is a reminder of some other bull that they might be around, so they might have to know that this area is occupied. Otherwise, whoever trying to get in there as the other male could be then he's challenging him for the fight. In a fight of a hippo is not good, which usually one die or get out very injured. So the bull hippo would weigh around 3,000 kg, and Kelly, you want to know how many hippo can live together in one area. So what happened is, so the male that dominate the water hole, it happens that he also dominate a lot of females within that group. So could be anything. I've seen 18 hippo in one water hole with one male. So that's not a problem as long as they're all female and they juveniles kind of animals. It's not a problem. As long as they don't, this young male bother him as a father or then trying to push him off that pool, then of course he won't like them anymore. He would try to move them off. But of course, they that group. So it's so important for male to be with a group because somehow he has to dominate them or lead them away to a graze and also come back. Sometimes some of them, they don't come back, lost, or he doesn't come back the same time as them, but he finally reached the waterhole where they are. Look at that blow, the nostrils, the steam coming out of that water. We'll leave them, move on.
Here we have a lilac-breasted roller. In the similar vein of all the birds we found today, puffed up, wet, giving us a bit of a shake. Now, what is quite nice about this weather is that the birds let you get quite close before they decide to fly away. Rollers are pretty good at doing that, though, in general, but today is especially good for this. Even the francolins, usually they go and run away. But in weather like this, they really don't care about you as much as they care about getting, being warm. Now, generally, birds have a higher body temperature than we do. It's about 39 degrees Celsius. Sometimes up to 40, sometimes 38 and a half, but the average is greater than ours, and that's because flight is quite energetically expensive, and that constant movement, the constant metabolism, and the fact that their bodies have gotten used to that energy expenditure means that they have to keep this higher body temperature. Unfortunately, not helping the roller too much today.
So we've come back to the lions that Matt heard yesterday on the zebra carcass, and look at this. There's the whole pride of lions that have just been chased off by these 3 buffalo bulls off of the carcass just to our right hand side, and there's one of the youngsters. All these youngsters are getting very inquisitive. Look at the buffalo picking up their heads as well. There's one that's creeping a little bit closer. There's the rest of them coming closer as well. These are 3 sub-adult males of Bayala pride and the 1 lioness. It's like a bit of a standoff here. See how the 1 buffalo bull is just staring straight towards them. Just warning them, don't you dare come closer. How crazy is this? See how the lioness is just yawning there. She is no interest at all. But these young males without any experience are still very inquisitive over these buffalo. Look at this one inside the little drainage, dry riverbed there, creeping closer. I think if he goes even closer than that, we might see these buffaloes coming and chasing them. Look at this. Oh my goodness. He is almost trying to tempt the buffalo. Nice and playful. Sid, you're saying 3 buffalo bulls ready to fight. Indeed, I think they are very lucky that 3 of them are together like this. If it was one of them by themselves, then probably would have been a little bit more anxious of these lions, but 3 of them together, they are a force to be reckoned with. And luckily these lions' bellies are nice and full as well, so after feeding on a big zebra carcass, don't think they are too interested in hunting buffalo. Yes, these young lions, every time a buffalo turns their back on them, they all creep a bit closer. Look at that. See how his head is nice and close? All three of them are now fairly close to them. They are so inquisitive. Oh, here we go. Buffalo's turning towards them. A lot of yawning happening by the lions. I think they were probably sleeping when these buffalo came past here. The lioness is probably thinking, oh please guys, just lie down, we don't want any trouble. The youngsters are settling down. Now the buffalo have turned away and they're actually feeding away from the lions now. So we'll see if these youngsters creep even closer. Especially this one that's in frame now. Oh, there we go. This is so exciting. I actually hope that he learns something from this, like the buffalo will chase them. Just crept a bit closer, and then the buffalo came one step forward, and he was like, okay. Yeah, this is super exciting, Sinek. Let's see what happens. See, as soon as one of the buffalo start moving away, the other two kind of want to creep closer to them. So even though they're not too nervous around these lions, obviously, they want to stick together and not be singled out. Yo, these youngsters are yawning so much. Makes me think that they were definitely lying down when these buffalo came around, still trying to oxygenate all those muscles. Even looking this way, probably thinking, you guys can help us with these buffalo, but see how he's even panting, that full stomach full of zebra, producing a lot of heat. It's just the one buffalo bull that keeps on looking back towards this lion. Curiosity killed the cat, it seems. Yeah, the buffalo is coming closer. See how he's immediately going back to his mom there. I'm sure it's coming to. Oh, there's a woolly neck stork that just flew behind the lions. They're probably looking to get a piece of the carcass that's still left here. These buffaloes seems like they're circling around this area. You can see the grass is nice and green down here. There's probably a bit of moisture left in this dry riverbed. Oh, yeah, the buffalo are coming close. See how they pick their heads up? Whenever they pick their heads up like that, smelling the air. Oh, this one's not too phased. He's keeping on feeding as he's coming closer to the lions there. I don't know if you heard that grunting noise from the buffalo there, warning the lions. Oh my goodness, that is super close. Emily, you are asking how many lions it will take to bring down a buffalo. We've seen videos and footage of one male lion taking a buffalo down, but usually it takes at least 2, maybe even 3 or 4. These youngsters are now lying flat in the grass. I think they're starting to lose interest in these buffalo, but they are really close to them. From our angle, and even from where you are looking now, it looks like they are literally a meter or 2 from each other. Very interesting behavior that this buffalo is not too worried. It almost looks like the youngsters grooming the buffalo from the angle that we're looking at. But there is a little bit of a ditch between them. So the buffalo is obviously feeling quite safe. I think we're gonna stick around for now and keep on looking what's gonna happen around here.
Here we have a community nest, spider's nest. It's quite large, and they start off quite small, and then as the colony grows, so do all of the holes and passageways within that nest. And at the moment, everyone would be quite dormant inside. Well, not exactly dormant, just not very active inside of it. Once the sun comes out, they'll start to repair the nest and all the webs around it. But at obvious reasons, they don't want to get wet or too wet. The silk itself is waterproof, so it will just kind of drip down. And it's quite a sight to see them all out. It's something that I quite like. It looks a little bit like a horror movie, but it's very, very interesting when they're all out. And they're quite big. They're, I'd say, probably about 1.5 centimeters, the actual spiders. It's quite intriguing to watch them go about rebuilding the kind of scaffolding that holds the nest against the tree. They have different casts, well, not exactly casts, but different roles within the nest. Some protect the nest, some rebuild the nest, some take care of the young. They all live together in a very happy spider family. Some birds that use spider webs for their own nests, like flycatchers and bulbuls. Sometimes you see them kind of destroying bits of the nest, especially disused ones. That's a Coqui Franklin in the background. Coqui, Coqui, Coqui. Well, you'll only really see them repairing the nest during the day, and that's because it's nice and dry. Kirsty, I'd like to know what type of spider's nest this is. It's called a community nest spider, and they're in the family Ericidae. And the specific species that is in this nest, I'm not sure, but the species that we do get around here is the Stegodiphyus species. That's the most common one that we'll get around here. And that is the genus name, and then you'll get a number of species within it. Now, like I said, during the day you'll see them rebuilding, but they're actually nocturnal, so when they're out hunting, as in trying to pick up stuff from the web, that'll be in the nighttime. That's when they're most active.
So these buffaloes have actually came across in front of us, but they are still literally meters apart away from these young sub-adult lions. You can see the lions are moving around behind them, and these buffalo have started to lose a bit of interest in them. Heads are down and feeding, and look at this one, is not even looking towards the lions, but the youngsters are super inquisitive still. Oh, look at this big bull. It's got like a tear in his ear there as well. Super interesting behavior with these buffalo, obviously knowing that these young lions don't pose a threat to them, so they're not too worried about them, but still keeping an eye on them. See how the one youngster went there towards mom in the back and rubbing up to her again. She's the only one that's really keeping a distance, I guess, because she really knows what danger these buffalo can be towards them. And these three bulls are quite big horns on them as well. See how she yawned there in the background as well. There was at one point where the woolly-necked stork that flew across and behind them came across to the buffalo, and the buffalo chased it as well. See that youngster? It's just crossed through the little dry riverbed to this side where the buffalo are, and I can just see the woolly-necked stork is also walking in the long grass, about to come into shot. Shelley, you are saying these buffalo are quite trusting. I don't think they trust the lions. I think they're just not scared of them. There's the woolly-necked stork. How's that? A lion, a buffalo, and a woolly-necked stork. Just need them to climb onto each other's backs, and then we'll have a nice children's story going. Look at that youngster being quite playful there with a piece of log there. Yeah, these buffalo have lost interest in the lions completely. Not even looking that way anymore. And still just a couple of meters away. These youngsters obviously keeping an eye on them every step of the way. Oh, the other youngster has actually gone to a tree further to the right. It looks like a weeping bourbon tree there. If I'm not... Oh no, it's actually a marula tree, it seems. Yeah, it's a marula tree. And he's just sitting at the base of the tree. He was actually looking to climb up there. But he's just sitting and watching the buffalo move to the left-hand side. Now I'm sure you can hear the grass moving. There's just lie down. What incredible behavior. I've never seen lions so close to buffalo before without the buffalo chasing them or the lions doing anything. Kerry, you're saying such an amazing interaction here. Like I just said now, I've never ever seen lions and buffalo so close together without trying something with each other, either the buffalo chasing the lions or the lions trying something with the buffalo. But probably the full stomachs after feeding on that zebra carcass that is causing this whole relaxed ordeal here. How incredible is that you can barely see, when Craig was zooming out like this, you can barely see the lions in the grass there. What an incredible spot. These youngsters are also starting to lose interest in the buffalo a little bit. Still keeping an eye on them. It's getting nice and late now, so I'm hoping that they won't go back to sleep even if these buffalo move away, and they'll stay nice and playful. See how this youngster keeps on looking towards the buffalo and then keeps on looking back up. I wonder if that woolly-necked stork is maybe walking around in the grass here somewhere. I think the youngster that was at the tree there, up on top of the ridge, I wonder if he's keen to come back to the carcass here. Maybe that's why he was coming up around and around. Seems like he's coming this way. See if we can get a view of him. He is moving behind a tree there, fallen over tree, so he's taking it very slow. I think the buffalo can see that he's on their side of the little drainage line. You can see that youngster's got still quite a bit of a reddish tinge to his mane from feeding on that zebra. Oh, here he's coming. He's talking closer towards us. Even the female lion's also up now. Oh, let's see what happens. Seems like they want to cross this little drainage line. One of the youngsters is actually closer to us. Let's see if the buffalo react to all this movement from the lions. Oh, look at the youngster coming, trotting forward. He's very brave. Oh, here we go. Not so brave anymore. See how the buffalo is casually walking closer just to show them who's the boss. See, all the lions are moving away from the buffalo now. Oh, there's even a young lion in a tree now, in a fallen over tree. How's that? And they're lying down now, settling down a bit further away from the buffalo. And the buffalo is also moving away. I think we'll stick around here and see what happens.
Oh, all of that sounds is so exciting. I wish my spiders would come out so they could be equally exciting. But I think they're very, very cool. I was half hoping maybe somebody would come out to repair the web, because as the drops hit the web, it can damage that scaffolding. The type of silk that this type of spider uses is called a cribbolete silk, which is kind of a very, very, very fine version of silk. And normally spiders will have spinnerets, which they produce the silk from, but if they have an additional organ called the cribbolum, they can produce this really, really fine silk. That's the type of silk you kind of see blowing away. It's a little bit fragile. It doesn't have the same type of tensile strength that the spinneret silk can produce. I'm going to grab that question again. I only got bits of it. But I am here, I promise. Ian, you would like to know how many spiders this nest would hold. Hundreds. And that's why it's kind of quite a spectacular event when they come out. Because hundreds, you'd see hundreds. In fact, sometimes if you look at it like this, you think, oh, there's no spiders there. And then when you look really closely, you'll see that they're so similarly colored, this gray-brown color, as the nest, that you may not even see that there are hundreds of them all over it. Quite frightening if you don't like spiders, but I do love spiders. And yeah, Ian, hundreds can live in one nest. But like I said, they start quite small, these nests, and then as the community builds, they get larger and larger. And they stay within their community, and they'll continue to build the nest. They're quite harmonious spiders in terms of not being too territorial. Everyone works together. Nancy, you say you can handle one spider but not a nest. Can you imagine a spider's nest in your home? I can. I do like spiders very much. Jumping spiders are my favorite. I just think they have the cutest faces. Not to say that these faces are not cute either, because they are. Kind of looks like a beehive, don't you think? Instead of bees, just full of these wonderful community nest spiders.
Whoa, yeah, spiders. Something else out there, but then coming from the spider to now, yeah, spotted a hyena. We just come across right here. It was still busy doing its own hunt. And this is how these creatures do, that are not always in a group. But now, it's still quite a light, daylight, I might say, because it's not having yet sunset. It's interesting in this area because the northern boundary we were traveling in there was a fresh bridle line track sprite. So And then we check everywhere. They haven't coming out of this block. Now we come across the hyena. Very interested on, well, hyena, they're a very good tracker anyway. They can smell far as they can, which means if anything that died in the middle of the block, they will eventually smell that. So we're so lucky finding it on the road, but we're actually losing visual of it, so I'm not sure I would try getting there, but it's on its mission. So doing its own hunt, so probably it's going to do that until find the lions or whatever it is in the bush.
So just as he came to us, one of the youngsters, the young sub-adult males, lie down in the grass. They all seem to be very interested in this one buffalo bull that's not too far away from them. And they keep on creeping a little bit closer. You see the black behind his ears there, often probably used by the rest of the youngsters to kind of see what his behavior is like and where he's listening to. Also gives us an idea of where he's looking. Look how well he's camouflaged in the long grass there. The buffalo bulls are slowly moving away, probably losing interest in these lions completely, and also quite keen, I'm sure, to move away from these lions before night falls. I think if it is completely dark, then they are at a big disadvantage to the lions. One of the young lions also now disappeared in the gully or the little ditch just below. We'll see if he comes out. Might come and join the rest of his brothers on the hillside here. Mum has now moved off completely and she's lying down behind that fallen over tree. There he comes. See some interaction there, yeah. Rubbing up against his brother. Oh, flopping down right next to him there. I think these three were sleeping and their mum was probably pretty happy about them sleeping, and then his buffalo came and chased them up. Seems they are nice and playful now. Here comes the other one. Also wants to be part of the grooming. Look at that, just falling on top of his siblings. They're probably grooming away at each other because there's quite a bit of blood and smell of the carcass still on them. Oh, there they go. Actually walking up towards us here. And now back towards the buffalo, it seems. Oh, no, just keeping an eye on them. Right, let's see where this one goes. If they keep on walking in that direction, they are coming back towards the carcass, the zebra carcass, which is just in front of our vehicle here. See, this one has got a nice full belly, but he might be keen to try and stuff himself a little bit more. Yeah, there he's going to the carcass. Carcass is just behind this tree in front of us. And yeah, starting to feed. They've been on this zebra carcass for at least today, probably a bit of last night as well. Amazing how zebra is so big that it can last these 4 lines for quite a while. He's actually sitting up now. I wonder if there's not too much left to feed on. Shelley, you are asking what pride these lions are or belong to. So these are 3 subadults and their mother, and they are part of the Bayala Pride on the southwestern corner of Phinda in their territory. Look at this youngster playing with the carcass there, and then there's another one that's now starting to stalk the buffalo. Look at that. That one buffalo is facing his way. Don't think he's realized yet. I think he's seen the line. So he casually comes walking closer. I've not seen a more relaxed buffalo in my life. He's probably just like, kid, you have no idea. Young lion is obviously just trying his luck, seeing how close he can get to them. Very inquisitive of anything that moves, it seems. Still super interesting behavior, wow. And these buffaloes are not moving away. They are really enjoying the grazing here and just staying. See how this youngster's head just bobs down every now and then, so whenever the buffalo loses interest in him, he looks very interested in them. Moving back to his brother now. You're asking what runs faster, lions or buffalo? So I think these sub-adult lions, even though they're younger, and their mother will definitely outrun these buffalo and get away from them. So that's why they are quite inquisitive and try their luck stalking them, and so because they know they'll be able to outrun them. See, the other brother went off to the carcass there, and there's the third one now, standing around the tree there, all looking very playful. Seems like he's coming over to come and join his brothers at the carcass here. Oh, no, he's not. Just found a spot and lying down. Still very interested in those buffalo. We might try and reposition and see if we can get a view of that carcass and stick around for now.
Well, buffaloes and lions are mortal enemies, and everybody, when they meet, they'll always try and challenge each other. Well, I got some topies here, and these topies were rather earlier busy eating as they were moving on, but all of a sudden they just stopped, and there's no concern to make them stop, to make them not feeding, but I'm trying to concentrate on a very young calf, a very small baby. If you look at that mother there, just near her head where she's feeding, tiny brownish calf with, there she moves. Staying very close to mom. But look at the mother, and if you're lucky to see the whole body of this baby, you're going to see the huge difference between these two animals. I think still a new baby, and the mother is either trying to lick it and pushing it. And sometimes you'll notice the mothers will do that for the baby to have a proper implant, or for the mother to avoid any confusion in the herd. She doesn't want the baby to be getting lost in a group, should there be a concern of any danger. I think she's suckling now. I can't see very well because the grass is quite high. I guess she is suckling. Now, adult toppies and their babies are very different. When you look at their tones of colors, they're very different. You'll get the adults having the brown, the gray, the black. But the youngsters will only have one light or creamish color, unlike the adults. You might think that they belong to different species of animals. The colors of the babies become more conspicuous as they age. And every time I see the troppies, it reminds me of the Sesebes in South Africa. They blend in also very well in the grass there. Just a cool evening. The temperatures must have gone down very well at the moment. And if you notice, they're not eating the top or the long dry grass. They're reaching the green grass that is much healthier. And hopefully I'll be seeing something more interesting as I move on.
As you're coming back to us, you can see this young male lion is very inquisitive of something that's flying overhead. It's actually a fork-tailed drongo that's following these buffalo. But now his interest is back on the buffalo there. So they've got the two youngsters that's lying down, and the third one is playing away with the carcass in the back. And there you can see Mom's full stomach as she's just sleeping in the back there, not too fussed about what's going on in the background there. Oh, the life of a mom. You can see these two youngsters lying in the grass, still very much interested in what these buffalo are up to. And these buffalo have come back to the spot where they were earlier, and that's why these two lions are so inquisitive, because there's a lot of movement happening from their side. See the one there on the right hand side of just playing with that carcass. Oh my goodness, having a ball. Just see paws going up into the air every now and then as he lies on his side trying to get to different parts of the carcass. Probably just pulling on the skin, and so look at that. Oh my goodness. He's lost interest in the buffalo and is just enjoying playing with the dead zebra, it seems. He's trying to get into different sections that haven't been fed on yet. That's maybe on the other side of the carcass. These two other youngsters. Seems like this one is actually looking towards the one that just yawned there. Let's see what he does. He seems very interested. See how the black behind his ears are showing us where he's listening to. Oh, there he just turned his head towards the buffalo again. Don't know if you can hear the buffalo moving in the grass in the background. See, I think these youngsters, by looking at how they're looking at each other, we might see some movement from them. Oh, one just lying down a bit. RJ, you're asking if these lions will make another kill if, even though they're full. So they are very opportunistic, and they potentially will make another kill if the opportunity arises. But something like these buffalo, for example, it's quite a big animal to take down and quite risky. And they would probably be more in danger of injury or something like that to take down buffalo. So they'll probably try and hunt something and be opportunistic if it was something like an inyala. So look at this youngster going closer to the buffalo. They've moved off quite a bit, and look, he's actually picking up the pace. Oh my goodness. There's a buffalo that's now stopped and looking straight towards the The line there. It just disappeared behind this vehicle here. And there's another youngster that's actually come out in the open just next to us here, also looking at what his brother is doing. Look at that tail flicking around in interest. Oh, chasing some flies as well. Sure, that belly is so full. We were asking earlier if they are faster than buffalo with a belly like that. They'll have to be careful. Super inquisitive in the movement of these buffalo. You can see how he's looking to the left a little bit and then to the right. So the buffalo's off to the right. So he keeps on looking to the left. See how he's walking nice and slow. Probably going to where his sibling is. And sitting down, I think the buffalo probably turned and told him off. Let me see if I can reposition just a little bit. See if we can turn our vehicle and get a view of these lions just on the other side of this other vehicle there. Okay, just take it nice and slow. We don't want to affect of what's going on around here, so let's just see if we can loop around here. Okay, there we can see the lions and the buffalo as well. Kathy, you're asking how old these lion subadults are. They are just about a year old. I remember having a sighting with them, one of the first sightings with them in August last year on a wildebeest carcass. So that would, probably around a year and a month or so, a year and 2 months old or so. Very inquisitive. Oh, there he's up. Every time the buffaloes start to turn their backs on them and move away. Look at this. So this is all play, not really serious stuff. And it's teaching them valuable lessons about how animals react to them and the way they're still stalking. See how he's using these bushes as a bit of cover. He's sitting down and grooming himself. Probably got bitten by an insect or something behind his back there. I can see the other buffalo just in that little dip behind this lion. There's the other buffalo coming into sight now. Look at that. How's that for a view? The lion sitting and just watching a buffalo again, just like earlier. Wow. And what a set of horns this buffalo bull has on him. Not something I would want to mess with. Keeping a close eye on this young lion. You can see this buffalo is quite old, quite a bit of hair missing on his back there as well. The youngster is losing interest. As soon as the buffalo are concentrated on these youngsters, oh my goodness, there's another young lion that's just come into our view now on the left hand side, just a little bit left of this bush that's on the left hand side of the screen. Let's come a bit closer because the buffalo have started to turn their backs on them. There he's coming. He's stalking now again. The buffalo spotted him or heard him and has turned towards him now as well. Oh, look at the one there at the bottom picking his head up and smelling towards him. Quickly scurries away when the buffalo just shows a bit of interest in him. We're gonna go into infrared now, just because it's getting quite dark here now, just so we can keep on filming quite a bit of this for you. Here we go. Much better with the light. The buffalo is actually going up towards the young lion that's on that side. Oh, he's just ran off. But now this one here closer to us is just also repositioned. And the buffalo seem like they are coming up the little drainage. I think they were feeling a little bit vulnerable down there. But for now it seems like everyone is settling down for a bit. So I think we'll maybe stick around and see what happens.
Yay, my afternoon is complete. I have some very, very wet elephants. Aren't they just lovely? Now you will notice that we are in infrared at the moment, so you'll be seeing a grayscale kind of color. And that's because it means that we can watch these animals when the light is very low without spotlighting them. They are so wet. They're very, very shiny at the moment. It's not a very big herd. There's about 10 to 12 of them. And imagine how nice this must be, because all of the vegetation that they're eating is now covered in water. So it's like a 2-for-1. Really enjoy watching them. Now there's a few off to my left, so I'm just going to move a little bit so we can have a look at them. They seem to be digging quite a lot. There we go. There we go. Digging to get to some juicy bits. And now most of the bits that they're eating are juicy from the rain.
Just as he came back to us, these two youngsters were super close to the buffalo. And you can see this buffalo bull actually ran up the hill here and just chased them off. And now the third youngster is actually coming over and coming to join them on this side. And Craig and I were almost taking bets here to see if the young lions will take a chance with these buffalo. But as soon as that buffalo bull realized that they were close to them and ran towards them, they all scurried away quickly. Let's see, now that player number 3 for the lions have come into play, we'll see what happens. So 50 years saying it's a fantastic sighting, definitely one of the best sightings of my cycle so far. Look how close that one is now. Oh my goodness. He's just stopped. And here comes the others coming to join him. Oh my goodness, this is crazy. Oh, there we go. Buffalo chasing them. Can see how these lions' behavior have changed since it's become quite dark here, from not really trying too hard to stalk them to now trying to get really close to them. But these buffalo are not having any of it. Oh my goodness. Okay, see how they're lying down now? Probably waiting for these buffalo to turn around again. But I think we're going to still stick around and see what happens.
Well, these guys are busy digging up this combretum. They've got 5 ellies that have descended upon it, trying to get to those roots. Kicking up sand every now and then, which is quite nice to see. It's nice to see how that cow is getting in on it, and so is this youngster. Oh, I'm gonna be quiet and you can hear. How great is that? Look at that. So peaceful. This must be a very welcome gift to all the animals out here, especially elephants. They struggle with the heat. And all their vegetation was dry. And now we've got some really nice tasty stuff. It's a nice cool day for them. I'm sure that they've had a ball in this weather. You can hear the thickneys in the background too. Fiery-necked nightjar as well. There we go. To me it sounds like it says, hello, good looking. Hello, good looking. How can you see that their eyes still shine with the infrared? And that's because infrared is still a light wavelength. It's just one that we can't see. So when that goes into an animal's eye, it's still getting scattered by that tapetum lucidum between the retina and the choroid in the eye. It's still getting scattered, so you still see the eye shine. There's a water thickening going again. Just lovely. So nice to see animals enjoying the fruits of the changing season.
So the buffalo have fortunately and unfortunately moved off, and the young lions have gone into the dry riverbed, and we can't see them at the moment. So we just looking at the lioness now, and she's actually started grooming herself quite a bit. So she's been sitting upright for a little bit and trying to groom. And what I've seen for quite a while, and it's often seen with other big cats when they start grooming and yawning after sleeping a bit, often getting ready to move a bit. See if she maybe gets up and comes towards the carcass. So she's still grooming her paws, and so I'm sure there's quite a bit of scent of the carcass on her paws there. There we go, and she's up and coming this way as well. Perfect. Might climb through that fallen over tree there. Oh, she's calling a bit, it seems. I don't know if you can hear that. It's just a faint call, contact call from her side. She's calling her subadults. Emily, you're asking when the manes will start growing. If we do get another view of these subadults, you'll see that they actually do have quite a bit of hair, long hair growing around their necks. So it's already started growing, but it'll only be fully grown when they are probably around 3 to 4, even closer to 5 years old. See how she's looking around, wondering where her youngsters have gone. And there she's just turned to the right, going straight back to the carcass. Yeah, there she's gone to the carcass there. Just see her bum sticking out. Let's see if she pulls the carcass. As I said earlier, the other youngster was trying to move it around a bit to try and get to some other pieces that haven't been fed on yet. It's getting dark very quickly now. And there she's calling again. But I think for now, these lions are probably going to stick around this carcass. But we'll see you again tomorrow, same time, same place. So from my side, good night.
This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
Good morning, and welcome to Djuma Private Game Reserve in the Sabi Sands. My name is Steve, and welcome on board your live digital safari.